Thanks, team, for having me here to present about Cisco Meraki. So today I will be talking about remote work solutions, basically about connectivity, how we secure those connectivity with Cisco Meraki portfolio. I'm not sure if most of you haven't heard of Cisco Meraki, but don't worry because I will be going over those portfolio later on, what we have under this solutions. But just before we go forward to this, I just want to mention or maybe a quick brief on what we've been through right now, right? So since this pandemic, right, most of our customers are not really prepared for this one. So notice the title of our event today is all about business disruption. So what that means is that on this pandemic, in this current situation that we have, most of our customers are required or probably forced to build their own infrastructure, especially that most of our workforce are now working from home or probably outside the office from any other location across our country. So because of that, what I want to focus right now in this session is how we can make it even more easier, how we can make that disruption even more easier for our customers without even skipping a bit in terms of building your own infrastructure or providing connectivity to our workforce or what we call the teleworkers. Okay, so here's just a quick agenda of what I have. Basically, of course, we'll be dealing with what Meraki is and what are those solution components that we have, the benefits that you will get basically with the solution. So it's not just about, sorry for that. Oops. Oh, I clicked it. Oh, sorry for that. So it's not all about, wait, there's something wrong with my slide. Let me just clear it. Sorry for this. We'll share it again. All right. So yeah, so what I've been talking about is that how we can make it more easier in terms of putting all of those connectivity for our remote work. Okay. So again, for those who are not familiar with the remote, with Meraki Remote solution, basically I've mentioned it already. Meraki is a cloud managed IP, and it's built to be a remote managed solution. We call it a cloud, or 100% cloud managed. So basically, you cannot configure these devices through what we call CLI configurations, right? So in terms of management, in terms of configuration, monitoring, all of those things, including those visibility, you can do it remotely. And we also call it we call it also end-to-end solution because we offer under this Meraki portfolio, we have MR access points, we've got Ethernet switches, we have security appliances that can do SD1 at one box. And the newest addition to our portfolio is actually the cellular gateway, which allows our customers to have cellular connectivity aside from having a broadband connection or a fiber connection to their office or to their home. So that's all about MG. We also have additional software products under Meraki. One is this one, the application and one performance monitoring. We call it Meraki Insight. It's more of monitoring your WAN performance or SaaS applications via the dashboard itself. Let's say you have endpoints or you've provided endpoints to your employees, then we can also manage them remotely via Systems Manager. So we can enforce things like VPN configurations or specific applications to these devices via the dashboard itself. And lastly, of course, we have security cameras under this portfolio. So again, the beauty of this solution is having what we call the single pane of glass management. So you just simply go in to one location to manage all of these devices via your web browser. So we call it the Meraki dashboard. I hope we have a time later on. I can show you what the dashboard looks like and how we can navigate all of these devices that we have in the dashboard. Okay. But what I want to focus in right now is Meraki Remote Work solution. So in our portfolio, in our portfolio, our devices are actually built not only for small business, but also for bigger enterprise and even for data center. We can have Meraki devices on those locations or in those kinds of deployments. But what I want to focus now is how do we enable our teleworkers, those who are working from small branches or those who are working on their home, on their personal workspaces at home. So we have specific devices that will allow our employees to securely connect to our corporate resources located on sa data centers natin. So that's what I want to focus in right now. But before we go to those specific products that we have for teleworkers, I just want to and simply zero-touch deployment. This is something that really resonates to our customers right now. It is because since this Meraki is already a cloud-managed solution, and basically zero-touch deployment is even more possible to each of our customers. Okay? So what does this mean? The zero-touch remote product. So when we say zero-touch, meaning you can just simply have Meraki devices shipped into your to your employees' personal home, or probably you have these devices to be shipped on those specific small branches that you have. And then in terms of configuration, you can actually do it right away on the Meraki dashboard. Even before you ship those devices, you can pre-configure it. You can make use of configuration templates as well. So let's say you have a lot of employees from different locations. You're giving each one of them specific devices like MX or Z, which I will be talking about later on. So let's say you've given them their personal boxes. You can actually push the same configuration to all of those devices via one single source of configuration template. And you can just simply do that via the dashboard as well. So that is in terms of deployment. In relation to zero touch, we can also benefit with what we call the zero touch updates. Okay, so zero touch updates, you don't need an IT personnel to go to that specific location to do those updates. You can just simply have those updates delivered via the cloud or from the cloud itself, and that is seamless, right? So it goes to your devices, downloaded from the internet, basically coming from Meraki Cloud, and you don't have to pay additional cost for this one. It's one of the benefits of having the Meraki solutions. Once you have the device, once you have the license, then you also benefit on specific, feature updates, things like those. Okay, so that's it for zero touch deployment and zero touch updates. But speaking of the cloud managed solution, I also want to highlight in terms of the visibility. So we have what we call remote visibility. Okay. So again, you have one place to go. You have one dashboard to go. If you need, let's say you want to troubleshoot something, right? One of your employees are saying, hey, my access point is working, the performance is not good. So you can just simply go into this dashboard. You maybe want to look into some data, performance of your devices. You can just simply go into the dashboard and troubleshoot directly, since you can just simply go and make changes in the dashboard itself. So again, you can do that remotely via your own browser, either a Chrome, Internet Explorer, or Firefox, or what browsers we have there. So that's all for the zero touch deployment. Okay. So this is what we have under Meraki Remote Work solutions. So if we look into a high-level overview, right, there are actually 3 ways to deploy a remote work solution. So each of these one have their own specific use cases. Let's say first one is MX and Z teleworker. So these 2 boxes are actually a standard site-to-site VPN appliance. So aside from having that site-to-site functionality, we can also do, firewall. Well, we can also configure firewall rules in these devices, right? The Z teleworker is actually a small box, it's a black box that can support up to 5 clients. So it's more than enough for, for users inside. If you are working from home, this digital worker could actually um, provide what you need in terms of secure connectivity to your data center. The MXL worker is a box which we normally offer for small offices or small branches. So MXL worker is capable of supporting up to 50 clients. And on top of that, MXL worker can also offer a lot more in terms of feature functionality. So let's say in terms of you have an internet breakout, so you want to do more in terms of filtering. So you can do more like advanced malware protection for additional security. You can integrate with IDS IPS for intrusion detection and intrusion prevention. The MX can actually do that as well. Okay, so that's more on the wired option. But let's say you want to go into a lightweight deployment and you just simply want your clients or probably your employees to connect wirelessly. So we have here an MR teleworker device. So you can either have MR on your home or probably on your small branch, or either you have this MX and Z, but all of these three devices can actually panel back um, some kind of traffic going back to your corporate resources to allow, of course, those employees to access, applications or corporate-owned applications and resources. Okay, so that is for the bucket. Okay? But let's say you don't have the device, you don't want a device in your location, but you just want to simply connect specific endpoints, your laptop, your mobile phones. Now, in Meraki, we also have VPN software that can be, can be pushed through what we call the systems manager. So, as what I mentioned a while ago, systems manager is more about endpoint management. So we can push specific applications, configure policies on these devices, and more likely we can configure VPN settings directly to these devices, as long as these devices would, of course, register their devices into systems manager, as what we call it. Okay. Again, for the main requirements, if you want to go into devices like Z or MX, then you have to at least have an MX in your headquarters in your data center. So they will be your probably this will be your VPN head end, those that will terminate your VPN connections coming from remote workers. Okay, so either you have it via a physical appliance, an MX physical appliance, or you can also have a virtual MX that can run via AWS or Azure. So we have options for that one at your head end. Okay, so well, that's actually the complete overview of the solution for teleworker. But let me just go into each one of those, okay? But before we go to those like V3, I just want to, I just want to know if our customers would be going into some kind of wireless deployment. So if you agree of providing only wireless connectivity to your clients, then probably you may want to offer them or probably give them MR33 or other MR here, which they can take it at home. But let's say you want to provide both wired and wireless capability. Let's say your employees are also using an IP phone, and probably those IP phones, they can take it at home as well. And of course, since they will be needing, a LAN connectivity, we actually have MX here that can provide those one, PoE capability to connect our IP phones at home or probably in your small branches. Okay, so those are two hardware options: the MR, MX, and V3. But on top of this, both MR and MX are actually capable of doing those auto VPN connectivity. Let's say you want to connect your remote sites via the appliance, then auto VPN is our solution for that one. But let's say you don't have the devices on those remote sites, you can just simply have client VPN to be configured from your data center. So client VPN is where you can just simply define the subnet, probably the username and password of all of your remote endpoints. So of course, for the remote endpoints, they have to configure the VPN settings on their own devices as well. But to make that easier, we have the systems manager here to which we can enforce to those endpoints. So Systems Manager will automatically enforce those VPN settings on the mobile devices or on their laptop. So we don't need actually the employees to simply go in to their device, configure server address, username and password. They don't need to go all of those complexities. They can just simply go into Systems Manager, or register their device with Systems Manager for this management. Okay. And on top of those, if you have the MX, again, I want to highlight this three. If you have the MX or Z3 appliance, you can actually have additional functionality for one performance monitoring. So that is actually offered by Meraki Insight. So later on, when we go to the dashboard demo, I will be showing you how Meraki Insight would look like and how we normally troubleshoot applications coming from or being run from the cloud. So this is our Z3. So I would like to start first with the small boxes that we can have for our teleworkers. So Z3 and Z3C. The difference with these three, actually they are the same in terms of functionality. They can support 5 clients. They have secure Wi-Fi access. So meaning when we have this functionality, we can actually create Corp SSID in our teleworkers for our teleworkers to extend the Corp SSID that we have from our main offices. So Z3 and Z3C, when we say C, it has a cellular backup. It means it has an integrated LTE slot on that device, so you can just simply insert SIM card on that device as your failover. So let's say your one uplink, probably a fiber connectivity, has failed for the specific time. Well, your cellular connectivity will come in and provide that failover for you, okay? And yeah, so again, these boxes can do auto VPN. And one of the things that I want to highlight with these devices, including the MX, is the simplicity of configuring that auto VPN. And I want you to remember this one. When we configure auto VPN with Z3 and MX, we just simply do, some few clicks, probably 3 clicks, will allow us to establish that auto VPN from our remote workers to our data centers. But let's say you want to look into a higher capable device. This device is more likely for small branches. So we usually have this one for small branches because, of course, it has firewall functionality on top of this one. Well, I want to highlight yung Z3. It also has this firewall functionality. But if you want to look into more advanced feature like IDS, IPS, advanced malware protection for malware protection basically, then you may want to go into MX appliance, okay? So it's more of a full-featured unified threat management device, okay? So again, what I want to highlight is that VPN configuration still the same. You can just simply consider, in a matter of minutes, you can just enable auto VPN to run from your teleworkers or from your branches going to your headquarters. So these are the boxes that we offer for teleworker deployments, starting from Z3 devices. I want to point out for this Z3, it has one PoE port. So let's say you're looking for a deployment that allows you to include IP phone at home, then you may want to consider Z3 and Z3C. Okay, so these have integrated Wi-Fi already. So you can just simply configure Corp SSID to extend Corp SSID to your location. And you can also add additional SSID for your family, maybe to your kids, to allow also your kids' to access the internet. So, okay. And for higher capability, we have the MX64 and MX64W. So again, as what I've mentioned, this one offers more of a unified threat management device. And let's say we have content filtering. So these two features are actually offered on a higher level of license. By the way, for the devices in Meraki, when you buy hardware with Meraki, you are required to also buy the software. The license, which of course make your Meraki run, allows you to manage your Meraki devices configured via the dashboard as well. So we have here MX64 and MX64W. Again, W will have that Wi-Fi capability. being built in already with these boxes. Okay. So let's say you also want to look into PoE capability. MX64 doesn't have PoE ports, but if you're looking for connectivity for IP phones or something like that, you may want to consider higher MX that we have here. We actually have the MX68 as well. So that have two PoE ports available for our devices. So that will be a good case if you are connecting a small branch located remotely. Okay. And also, I want to highlight in terms of security. So our MX is actually built with enterprise security already. So as what I've mentioned, if you go into the higher licensing, the advanced security license, you will get to have these additional security solutions, which is also being offered by Cisco. So we have the advanced malware protection and threat grid. So both of these are actually working for file protection. Let's say you're allowing a connection directly to the internet. Say you have two tunnels, one to your data centers and one is directly to the internet. Now we may want to enable additional protection for those traffic going outside, right? So we can actually have IDS. We can enable IDS, IPS through Snort, and that is again being built inside your MX appliance. Okay. And for DNS protection, we can also have the Cisco umbrella being integrated with your devices. So this one you just simply have that advanced license being enabled, and you will be benefit with this security solutions. So these security solutions are actually being powered by Talos, which is an awesome platform, an awesome security platform that we have here in Cisco, and that works behind all of our security solutions. So it also supports our MX security appliances. Okay. So that's for the hardware options, and I also want to talk about the third hardware option. So Meraki EMR access points. So this one would would not provide you PoE connectivity. You might not be able to connect your IP phone with this one. Well, we have other access points that are PoE capable, but for the teleworker devices, they're not PoE enabled. But let's say you just want to have that lightweight deployment. You just simply want your employees to connect wirelessly rather than connecting to a physical port or to your LAN. We have the EMR access points here. I think this feature is something that most of our customers don't know about, because here in our access point, in our Meraki access point, you can actually tunnel a specific SSID going back to your corporate office. So again, I've been mentioning about Corp SSID. That's just one of the examples of the SSID that you can have. So let's say you just want to extend a Corp SSID from your office, going to your teleworker location or going to your personal home. You can enable a Corp SSID to run on this EMR access point. And all of those clients connecting to this SSID will be, of course, tunneled back going to your corporate office as well. So it's one way of extending the connectivity and extending that secure connectivity to your remote clients as well. Okay. So these are the products that we have for teleworker. Again, it's for the teleworker. We have other EMR access points here that supports higher deployment, but for this one are actually good enough to be deployed at your homes. So the most entry level that we have here is the MR33 and MR36, sorry. So MR36 was actually Wi-Fi 6 certified, so you may want to go into Wi-Fi 6 certified device, then you can just simply have this one. Or let's say you want to consider more in terms of coverage. You have a lot of users at your home, or probably your small branch, then you may want to go into MR40 for higher coverage as well. So again, these three are actually entry-level access points. And again, they are not PoE capable. We have higher MR here that can give the PoE capability, which we normally offer to small and bigger branches. Okay. So that's with the hardware options, right? So I've gone to the three options that we have, the appliances. Again, the appliances will be good enough to support 5 LAN clients in your location. You may want to connect a small branch, maybe up to 50 clients. Then you may want to go into MX 64 or 64W. And let's say you don't need IP phone, right? So you just want clients to connect wirelessly, then you can just simply go into wireless access points, which is our Meraki access point. So both of them, all of them can do VPN connectivity. They can tunnel back traffic going to your corporate resources. Okay. Now I want to focus more on some of the solution benefits. So I have highlighted this one a while ago already. So there are two VPN configurations that we can actually do on our MX and of course MR. So let's say you have a big MX, let's say an MX450, so it's actually a big appliance. You may want to configure client VPN to your to your headquarters. So we have here what we call the client VPN. This one is more likely establishing secure connectivity to specific endpoints. So you don't need MR or MX to be positioned on a remote site. You just need to require those clients to configure VPN settings on their mobile devices, on their laptops, to connect to establish secure connectivity to the MX located in the headquarters. But let's say you just want to ship out or you want to give your employees an MX or MR. So that's the time you go into auto VPN. So we call it site-to-site VPN functionality. So what you do is, of course, you have to enable this MR or MX to establish VPN tunnel to our head end located doon sa headquarters or in our data center as well. Okay. So on top of the VPN functionality, again, especially for MX, you can do more in terms of firewall functionalities. So you can do that IPS. You can filter based on layer 3 IP addresses or layer 7 or based on specific applications, those things. Okay. For MR, I also want to highlight for MR, you can also do layer 3 firewall. And let's say you have a lot of, you have your kids connecting to your MR, you can actually configure traffic shaping as well. So you can actually throttle specific application to reduce the bandwidth usage for those applications. So all of those things are done via our dashboard also. So again, Meraki dashboard is here, allows you to do that configurations as well. Okay. So here's an example deployment that we have for a small office or a home office teleworker solution. And this is leveraging what we call the MX and Z appliances. So again, as what I've mentioned, we have the Z appliances that have a PoE port. So let's say you're looking for a VoIP devices. You have those devices to be connected via your home, then you may want to consider the Z3 appliance. But let's say you want to consider local breakout, meaning you just want to enable direct internet access, and still you want to consider additional functionality in terms of firewalling. So you may want to go into MX, so that will give you full firewall functionality to protect your inbound and outbound access as well. So that's one example for the MX and the Z appliance that we have. And another is, of course, another hardware option, as what I've mentioned, is the MR access point. So this use case would probably be applicable if you want your Corp SSID to be extended to your personal home as well. So you can actually enable Corp SSID on your access point and have those traffic tunnel back going to your corporate office. Okay. And of course, you can also consider you may want to enable another SSID for local internet breakout as well. This is for your kids or probably for other members of the family who are just making use of your Wi-Fi as well. So that's for the MR access points. All right. Now, what I want to focus more is on the client VPN. So as what I've mentioned, for client VPN, we don't need an MX, we don't need an MR to be shipped on those specific locations. You just have to configure client VPN on your head end from a headquarter or from the data center. So this is where you define what would be the subnet for this location or for this client, what would be their username and password. And I also want to add on that in terms of authentication. So if you don't have a radio server, you can actually make use of Meraki authentication. So in Meraki authentication, you can just simply define user credentials like username and password via the dashboard. And from that, of course, users from the remote workers can actually authenticate via that one, the Meraki authentication is what I said. But in some cases, the challenges that we encounter with client VPN is getting the configuration correctly. So you've noticed if you're configuring a VPN settings, or you're configuring VPN settings to your mobile device, you need to configure the server address, right? You need to define DNS address, and also you have to add username and password. And sometimes most of our employees would encounter some mistakes in terms of configuring the VPN. So to make that easier, we have here a systems manager for mobile device management. So systems manager, again, the software that we run on the Meraki dashboard. And through this dashboard, we can actually enforce specific applications, right? We can enforce VPN settings directly to these remote workers having their own mobile devices or corporate-owned devices. So the only thing that is required for this one is, of course, they need to install the Meraki Systems Manager agent on their devices, okay? But let's say you don't want the SM, you can still go with the client VPN. It is actually compatible with your, your local L2TP VPN connectivity in your devices. So you can just simply go in and put your details inside those devices. Okay. So this is again Systems Manager. It's basically a software. You don't need any hardware for this one. You just simply go into the dashboard. Just simply select what kind of applications you want to push to these devices. You can either define what specific device policies you want, or just what I've mentioned, you can just simply configure VPN settings to be pushed directly to your devices. Of course, we will require our devices to, register their device with Systems Manager. So there are actually several ways to configure or register our devices. So either they configure it via a web browser. We have here way to register devices via mobile application, or we can just simply send them an email in terms of instructions to follow to configure Systems Manager on their devices. So once we have those devices running the Systems Manager agent, the applications that we've configured on the dashboard will automatically push down on those specific devices. Okay? So what are those devices that Systems Manager can support? So we have iOS devices. You can support even thousands of iOS devices here. Here at Cisco, our dashboard, if you look into the Systems Manager devices, we actually have 70,000 mobile endpoints. Not only mobile endpoints, so different endpoints that we have. There's actually a lot. 70,000 is actually a lot. And that is pretty amazing because it's been supported by one dashboard only. So yeah. So here's an example. So we have iOS. You can manage Chrome OS, Mac OS, or remotely via your dashboard as well. Okay. And lastly, of course, is another software that I want to introduce. Again, it's more about one performance monitoring. It's more about SaaS application performance monitoring. So we call it Meraki Insight. So this would be another benefit of running Meraki MX or GP. So you can actually put Meraki Insight on top of that to provide you more insight in terms of which one is working fine, which one is not working. So let's say this is one of the challenges that we have with remote workers. Since we don't have IT personnel located on those locations, we may want to go into this site, which is the Meraki Insight, to just simply go and troubleshoot and remediate all of those situations. So Meraki Insight would actually define for you, based on the traffic patterns and performances, it will identify for you if whether that site has a LAN problem or whether that small site has a WAN problem. So it will check if connectivity to the ISP is working fine or not. Or let's say your employee is accessing Google Drive or Office 365 and in some points it's not working. You can go into Meraki Insight and maybe you may want to find out if Office 365 server is working fine or not. So for this kind of example, for Office 365, there's actually a problem that is happening on the ISP, basically on the WAN. And there's also a problem happening on the server side of the Office 365. So this will give you a quick insight of which one to follow or which one to talk to in terms of identifying those issues. Okay? All right, so that's for the teleworker. I just have a few things today, but I just want to go directly to a demo. So let's move into it. Actually, this is the best part that we have. Let me go to my browser. So again, as what I've mentioned, it's a remote work, remote managed solution. So I can just go into Meraki dashboard. I can just simply access dashboard.meraki.com. Can you see my slide? So I mean the browser. So actually, I'm sharing the browser right now. So what you see here, actually, the number of Meraki users that are located across the world. So those green dots represent Meraki networks being deployed. To be specific, at this point of time, we have 2.6 million Meraki networks that are already active worldwide. And if you may want to go into, you want to visit Philippines, Philippines is also, making use of a lot of companies here, a lot of remote offices here are working with Meraki deployment as well. So we see from northern Luzon into the southern part of Mindanao, we have Meraki networks deployed here. Yeah, so that's with the location, but what I want to highlight is, of course, the dashboard. This one is just only for monitoring, so you can just check this one. Okay, so I want to go into a live demo, and I'm actually opening a live dashboard from Meraki Corporation. So this is live, and for me, I only have a read-only access. So by the way, for our IT here, when you have your Meraki dashboard, you can actually assign specific people to have full access admin where they can do configuration changes, or you can just have read-only, just like what I have right now. I only have a read-only access. So I can just simply go in and monitor and view these things. Okay. So this is an example of the dashboard. Once you log in, you will be presented with this view, which is the organization view. And it will highlight for you all the locations that have those Meraki networks worldwide. Okay. And notice they are color coded, meaning some of these devices have, they have problems probably for this area. For this one, designates green color, so probably these devices or these networks are working fine. And on this part, you will see all the list of the networks that you have. So notice most of them are using a Z teleworker device. You can also see here bigger appliances that are located in our data centers. And it will provide you in terms of if these networks are working fine. So probably most of them are working fine. Meraki San Francisco, probably there's something wrong in this area. So I might want to go into this network to see which is what are the things that we have in here. So yeah, so I actually went into one of the networks that are located worldwide. So that is San Francisco. And notice, I've been mentioning about single pane of glass management. It's a complete end-to-end solution. So you've seen here all of the devices that we have from MX, from switches, access points, and cameras as well. Okay. But what I want to highlight here quickly is the systems manager. So again, if you don't have a physical appliance for your teleworkers, you can just simply have those endpoints to register with systems manager. And from systems manager, we can just simply enforce applications that we want. So you can just go in to systems manager and add applications that I want to push to those devices. So here are sample applications that we push to our devices. Okay, so we have AnyConnect. So AnyConnect is a VPN client, but if you don't want this VPN client, we can actually leverage the local VPN clients that we have in our devices. Okay, but these are actually some of the examples that we have. Let's say you want to configure VPN settings to your devices. Okay, so you can simply go to Systems Manager still. You can just simply add a profile for that one for all of your devices that you have. And When I add specific settings here, you'll find an option to share or probably add VPN settings. So this is where you're going to define, the server address, what would be the subnet that will be shared for this specific remote client, and of course, what would be the authentication that they will be following. For this demo, I cannot do any changes because I only have a read-only access. But just to show you how quick it is to configure VPN settings, right? So once you're done with VPN configuration, you can just simply go up to your teleworker devices and register those devices with systems manually. Okay? And since I'm running out of time, I also want to highlight one of the MX devices that we have. So Meraki San Francisco has a security appliance. So just want to show you the status code. Actually an MX concentrator, a head end that is located in San Francisco, and probably it is connecting to a lot of teleworker devices. So this is the status page where you can just simply go in and see the details. Let's say for the one connectivity, if it's ready, probably this one has HA deployment, so we have 2 MX for this location. You can go into the tools tab and simply access some remote troubleshooting tools that we have. Let's say you want to ping a specific device or you want to do cable testing. You can actually go into tools tab and simply ping from the cloud or probably ping from this device and verify if this is able to access those specific appliances. Okay? But again, I want to go into, again, that's just quick in terms of appliance status. There's actually a lot more to do with this. So you have the security center. For the security center, this is where you're going to do all of the events, probably malicious events that are happening. For the last 2 weeks, you can actually, can just simply adjust the time frame for last day, or you may want to filter for specific location only. Then you can also display that one. So this will summarize for you all of those security events that are happening across all of your MX worldwide, right? So this one will define for you what are those affected clients. So right now in this demo, notice that Meraki San Francisco has detected 6 events, and top source of that threat are coming from this location, right? And it also presents you what operating systems are most likely being affected. So that is more on the security center. So you can just simply go into this one, monitor your security, and you may want to remediate as well via the dashboard. For in terms of auto VPN, again, I mentioned a while ago, it's just a couple of clicks to go, and then you can just simply establish auto VPN in a matter of minutes. So by default, your site-to-site VPN is turned off. But let's say you're configuring a VPN worker device, you can just simply define it as a spoke device, and you may want to add specific hub, your data center, or your corporate office. You can just simply add that one, and you can just simply define what specific subnet from your local files to be tunneled going to your headquarters. So that's just how quickly it is to configure the site-to-site VPN. Okay. Well, just to make you to make it more even simpler, we can have configuration templates. Sorry. So we can have configuration templates. Let's say you have given a lot of VPN workers to either 100 employees. So you can just simply push one configuration template to those 100 employees that you have. You can just simply go into this tab, the organization, configuration templates, and you can just simply create a new template. But I just want to show you a sample here. This one is being applied to 2 teleworker devices, which is owned by Alexander and Christopher. Now, I may want to check on those configurations that are applied to those devices. Again, you can add thousands of VP on those templates if you want to. Okay? So right, so for this template, again, VPN connectivity is configured. So for these teleworkers, they are actually configured to connect to San Francisco appliance, and they are configured with this specific subnet, which is a corp subnet, and all of those who are connecting to the corp subnet will be tunneled back to the Meraki San Francisco. Now, last thing I also want to highlight, one last thing, I just want to highlight how we enable VPN with the wireless. So we just simply go in to, if we configure an access control, you just want to select the core SSID that we have. And to allow those core SSID to be tunnel back to the corporate, we just simply go in and enable, a VPN connectivity for these devices that you have. So all of those devices connecting to corp will be, of course, tunnel back as well to your corporate office. So actually, there's a lot more to do with this dashboard, but since we're I'm limited of time for this one, you can just simply go in. Actually, we have a sample dashboard that are available for you. I will be sharing later on with the team the link later on so that you can just simply go in and try the dashboard itself. Okay. So with that, actually, it's the end of my presentation, and I want to give this back to Alay. Again, thank you.